So what is up, everybody? It's me, at True Star Screamer. Sorry, I gotta keep forgetting that. At True Star Screamer. And we are here with, well, I think this is actually my first Mezco review. I have a few Mezcos. I haven't really showcased them much on the channel, or enough in my photography. This is one of the few ones that I actually pre-ordered. You know, I didn't have to do any hunting or trading for. I just saw him and I'm like, God dang it, I have to buy him. And this is the DC Comics Constantine. I know my buddies are currently cringing because it's still in the box. But this is a fantastic presentation. This is, John Constantine. This is kind of the Hellblazer-ish version of him. Not as much the DC mainline verse of it. And we'll see that when we get to the accessories. Box, of course, is absolutely gorgeous. I love this photography. I don't know if this is D Amazing's work or somebody else's, but this kind of stuff really sold it on me. Of course, you got all the accessories, which we'll be going into, as well as one that's not packaged on here. We'll talk about that. That kind of had to do with the timing of when this guy was announced, when this guy went in production, the infamous delays of Mezco. Insert where's my Batman 89 comment here, though I don't have that one on pre-order. And yeah, I mean, I love this. This makes me want to build a graveyard. Just plain and simple. Great presentation. I mean, if you've had a Mezco, you'll know this is a slipcover. That slips right off. And there's our figure in here. And yeah, what we're going to do is, I'm not going to be going through everything in the box. Don't worry. But what I am going to be doing is I'm going to break this guy out, set up the diorama, and we'll kind of talk about what we do have. So, what kind of, should we do a ripple dissolve? Should we do some kind of crazy normal edit, or just do a cut jump? Let's see. Whoosh. Yeah, that's right. I broke out that effect. Why? Because, dude, this guy is magic. And when it comes to accessories, oh my lord, do we have a lot. This is not the McFarlane figure, obviously. The McFarlane figure came with a hand and a book. McFarlane figure was also $20. Well, 25 because it's a page puncher. This was significantly more. And I kid you not, we're going to talk about all this. I'm still not talking about all the accessories he's coming with. He's a Mezco figure. They have their stand with the grip thing on it, and it's the box art. You know it's there. We don't need to go over that. He's got more hands than... He's got enough hands to deal with everything here. I will be talking about two, maybe three hands in particular, but we don't need to go over all those. But we still have a lot to go over. As I mentioned, there's things in the package. He does have this beautiful sword with runes, well, actually, like the phases of the moon carved into it. This is painted absolutely beautifully. It's immaculate. It's got scrapings on the metal. The handle's got etchings to it. There's like a little tie right here. This is an ancient weapon, and yes, he has a hand to wield that with. We don't need to talk about that. He also has a sacrificial dagger. I believe these are called anthems. So I'm sure if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. And while you're commenting, feel free to hit that like button. And if you're new here, please hit that subscribe. Hey, every YouTuber has to say that. Again, this dagger is beautiful. The only thing that makes me sad about it is this is probably the only time we'll see this dagger. I mean, Mezco doesn't reuse a lot of things. They reuse some things. I would love to see this dagger again, and that sword actually, in other things. There's a really nice skull in here. This is the double-bladed, so you stick that into somebody, it'll ensure that they bleed more. I mean, this is just a vicious thing. Or, if it's used in combat, you could use it as a sword breaker, I guess, but we won't worry about that. But this is absolutely a beautiful sacrificial dagger. He has magic effects. I don't know if you could call these chaos and order magics, but he's got both blue and yellow. This is the part I was talking about, the hands. So the hand I've got on here, that hand is also designed specifically for this effect. And this hand here, which would go in that hand, is designed to hold that effect. So I can't switch them around. This is definitely one for the left hand, one for the right hand. This is very similar to the one that came with the McFarlane figure, which was glued to it. And I like that. I actually really did like that. I think it was executed very well. This is... the way this works, as you can see, it's kind of holding in here. There are grooves in it. And let me grab old Johnny here. And the idea is you want to get the hands to kind of line up with the grooves in it. And this is kind of one of those perfect storm situations. It doesn't just fit in. And ironically, the reason I say perfect storm is it reminds me a lot of Storm collectibles. So, like with their Sub-Zero figure. I mean, ideally, I think what you might want to do is actually take the hand off, see if you can wedge the piece onto there, and then plug it in. Because, as you can see, this is not just a simple take it in, pop it in, and okay, actually, there you go. He's holding it on there. But it stays on there pretty solid. But it's definitely tricky. Like, not all the fingers are on here. But the effect works out really well. Now, to enhance that, Johnny, go back there. We also have additional power bands. This is kind of, I don't know, it reminds me of like the Legend of the Ten Rings. But this would slide further up the forearm, and this would be right around the wrist. So, we'll go ahead. And you want him to be using him without his jacket, which we'll talk about later. So that will slide up here. That'll go right there. And then you pop your hand on. And hope everything stays in place. So that's kind of like how that goes. It's like he's charging it up here and he's already pulsing it out there, or if he had the other hand on there. So it's neat. It's not my favorite. I think I would have been happy with just the wrist effect. The forearm one is okay because it's kind of loose on there. This though, it's decent. Actually, go ahead and take these off as we talk about them. I like it neat that they have the two different effects. I think I would have been happy even with just one, to be honest. I mean, I don't hate it. We'll talk about that in a second. He had, for other hands that are pretty neat, these are absolutely awesome. These have tarot cards in them, and they are beautifully painted. You know, if you look on here, you can actually make out all the individual cards from the Tower, the Fool, I guess. I can't make out what's in here, but it's just, they did it. This is looking absolutely gorgeous. There's the Hanged Man there. So if you're a tarot fan, they did it right. I think this looks just a very neat effect for both hands, and they're all different cards in each hand. He has a chainsaw. Why does he have a chainsaw? Who knows? Who cares? He summoned a demon. Things went wrong. Constantine is the kind of guy who would use a chainsaw on a demon. So, yeah, it's outrageously ridiculous, and that's awesome. And of course, he has the proper hands to hold it. We'll be talking about this in a second. He actually comes with two of these flame effects, and he has the hands for him to hold them. So literally, he would just be holding it, holding it in his hand as if he's summoning fire. Oh, where to go? He has a giant crucifix. Again, use as you want. You want him to be fending off a vampire. you want him to be doing an unholy rite, it all works out nicely. He has a cigarette, a Zippo lighter, which I don't think my camera will be able to zoom in on it, but it is etched beautifully. This does not open. It's not functional, which I have no problem with because that would probably break and have a bad pin. And then he has an opened one with an extended flame. So it would be like maybe, again, he used sorcery. Oh, he's a wizard, but he used magic to make a embellished flame. Then not there yet. He also comes with a Winchester. Now this is interesting. Not because of it being a Winchester, because that's kind of cool, and it does have a functional grip, which is neat. It'd be kind of cool if this comes with a Terminator figure in the future. Does the sight adjust? Oh, and the sight even flips up. I'm going to be very careful with that, but that does, so you can technically snipe with it. Oh, like great grain on the handle. What makes this interesting is when he was first solicited with it, they mentioned the Winchester, the rifle. Then DC started their whole thing of, no, you cannot have guns with our characters. But they already started production. They took this off the promotional images, but they did keep it in there. In fact, they took this out and they added the chainsaw. Instead, we get both. So, slight forgiveness for having to wait forever and a day for it. I'm sure other Mezco effects can work with it. That's actually kind of neat, and we'll talk about that in a second. I have to remember that. But the rifle looks great. And then we've got these. He's got cigarettes. So many cigarettes. So we've got this one here, which actually has a smoke plume that looks like a skull. It's very hard to see, but the smoke looks like a skull. I love it. He comes with 3 of these, so if you accidentally drop one, and this is one thing that Mezco is so good about. If you lose, giving us small accessories. Blade came with extra sunglasses. Moon Knight came with extra shurikens. That's one of the neat things that Mezco does. And then we have a whole bag of just random cigarettes. Some with smoke, some without, and I did it just for the heck of it, and I thought that was pretty neat. That was literally just an inspiration. I know it's a cigarette, but I'm sure at the right angle, that just makes it look like the Winchester's it's shot a bullet, and it's got a skull plume, which I think is pretty neat. And then we have these heads. He's got the more serious head he comes with. This is got that wry grin. And then he's got these 2 faces that he's got the high holy hell beaten out of. But what I love is he's smiling after that. So this is something where, yeah, even after he got beaten, it's like he still knows he's going to win. And a very neat thing with all of them. We'll go ahead and grab the grip. And you have to be very careful with this. But right here, just a little bit of steady pressure. Gotta find that sweet spot. There it is. Again, you have to be gentle, but all the heads can have the cigarette. It is saying in there that if you leave this in there too long, that hole will stay on there, but then, if you do the hot water, cold water treatment, it will then close out. But, yeah. This is beautiful. This is awesome. And I got more toy cigarettes now than I ever thought I would use. I had to make that one for the McFarlane one, which made sense, because that was technically in the kids' aisle. But, it's great. And then finally, I've got the jacket. If there's one thing that Mezco does wonderfully, it's their trench coats. The Blade trench coat is still probably my favorite one of all of them. I still can't believe they didn't give a wired coat, a wired cape for their Moon Knight. But this is great. I think my only complaint is I think the epaulets on the shoulders could have come forward a little more, because it doesn't feel like it's squared up on the shoulders just right. But it is wired all up and down the seam and in the ties. And to put it on, you just got to take his hands off and slide them through. And we'll talk a little bit about this when we get to articulation. So let's get this all cleaned up and we'll talk about the figure itself. So Constantine, of course this is your Mezco fare, all soft goods. This, I believe, is actually utilizing one of the Gomez bucks, which is very nice for articulation. He's got, in the pants here, they are double jointed, but being, of course, all soft goods, you gotta handle with care. I mean, I spent way too much money on this figure. I don't want to tear any of this stuff. By design, this shirt is untucked. I think that was very neat. The belt is painted. It looks immaculate. There's a little bit of wire in the tie, just to kind of keep that loose fit on there. The shirts are actually are stitched for the sleeves to be up, which I think is very well done. And these arms are double jointed in here. So, and we got our waist in here. So I can get some solid, I can definitely get some solid poses on here. Which is good. I mean, this is John Constantine. He is not a ninja. This is not Daredevil. This is not Spider-Man. But I still like to have, you know, some kind of dynamic aha moment here before he summons something or tricks a devil to claiming his an angel's soul or something like that. Who knows? That's the kind of stuff he does. Sells his soul to 3 different devils at once. And he did trick the first of the fallen into drinking holy water, which I thought was kind of cool. But that's what Constantine does. The heads, they are on a ball peg here. So it's just very easy to pop on and off. The head sculpt itself, I'm not sure I really got too much into there. Looks great. John Constantine, when he was created by Alan Moore, was actually based off Sting, believe it or not. And I just want to bring in the McFarlane one, just to kind of show there is, I mean, McFarlane actually did a really good job with this figure. For 20 bucks, again, I love this figure. If you haven't, definitely check out my review for this guy. I think this was a very, very well done fare. But what I find kind of interesting is, despite the fact that the Mezco is so much smaller, different scales, 6-inch versus 7-inch, the head is so much larger. I was going to try to do a head swap on here, but the peg is actually trapped in there. But is it me or does that look more like Chris Kattan? Oh well. Again, the dumbbell peg got in there. Oh yeah, there's no way I'd be popping that out. I'm just looking how that's in there without like severely boiling it. But enough about the McFarlane. We're talking about Mezco. To get the jacket, with the shoulders go up about yay high, so there's definitely some limitation to it, and the soft goods, of course, limit it. And that's kind of one of my few negatives with Mezco in general. Because of the soft goods, yes, you have to be careful with it. You're limited not by the stitchings, as opposed to the ball joint. And when we put the trench coat on, gotta take the hands off. It's almost like putting a real jacket on. joke is, you know, this is not a Ken doll, folks. Actually, it's probably easier getting Ken dressed than this guy. Because I'm always flipping paranoid about the joints with these guys and the threads. I don't want to, because this with the rolled up sleeves, that does not do any favors for this. That's probably the worst thing about the whole thing. And then you gotta make sure you twist everything around inside the cloth. And hope you get it all popping out. I got this on fine. And there we go. That feels okay, but I can't see what's going on. I can't tell if the shirt's twisted in there or not. This is my biggest problem with this character. With the jacket on, remember I mentioned I think the epaulets here should be up a little higher. They're definitely towards the back. And I have tried adjusting it. This is actually my third time putting on this trench coat. And it just, I'll be honest, it just doesn't feel natural with it. It looks decent, but it doesn't feel natural. And then when you try to do any articulation, now I've got two pieces of clothing that are hindering it. So, I can bring this around, bring the ties in if I wanted to tie it up, but Constantine usually has everything flowing behind him, and that's one nice thing with the wiring. I don't know, I just like this beat up face so much more. And that's how he is. It looks great. I mean, again, the Mezcos look good. And I cannot wait to photograph him. This is going to have some great photography at the end, I assure you. I'm breaking out the lights. I'm going to have all the fun with this. And with all these accessories, it's almost intimidating of the type of photos I'm going to take. His balance is, he balances decent. The foam board here is a little warped, but there you go. I'm not going to do too many size comparisons, because again, this is a Mezco. They are smaller than your Marvel Legends. They are smaller than your McFarlanes. They're pretty much in scale with each other. And I don't have many DC Mezcos, believe it or not. I've got the Gotham by Gaslight Joker, Clown Prince Joker, and that's it. I do, probably if I was going to put this guy with any others, would probably the Rumble Society, maybe. I think it would go well with it. I do not have, whatever his name is, the doctor with the tentacle arms. I don't have him. But I do have P-Hawk, and I've got one of the Dr. Nocturnals, who I think, I don't know, this could make, I think Constantine would almost make a good nemesis for, or rival at least. But I'm definitely looking forward to photographing him. And again, he looks good from all the angles. I've yet to encounter really a horrible looking Mezco. So, I am happy with my purchase. I spent way too much for him. Sadly, to get him right now, you probably have to get on the wait list. I can say if you are a Constantine fan, he is absolutely worth owning. Can also say this will still absolutely scratch that itch for you beautifully. I will not discount this figure by far. Each brings something a little different. This is definitely a little more comic book. I actually like the tie better on this, believe it or not, than this. And I like how the jacket is better than this jacket because the sleeves are on the arms. But again, if you want my full review for this, look at my video history. Hit that subscription button. You'll see, and hit my channel. I got a full breakdown of him. But tell me what you think. Did you get him? Are you photographing him? Did you pass on him? Why did you pass on him? Are Mezcos overrated? Dave, you should stop doing Mezco reviews. They take too long. Let me know all this stuff. That's where those comments down below are. And as always, give me a like, and until next time, take care.